guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to share my drugstore powder collection. I've been doing my kind of drugstore collections. I don't know why I put that in quotes. It's drugstore. But my drugstore collections of different parts of my whole makeup collection. So I've done drugstore bronzers, drugstore foundations. Have I done drugstore primers? If I haven't, I should do that soon. Anyway, but basically what I'm trying to do is show you guys the parts of my collection that are drugstore, compare all of them, tell you guys which ones I really think are amazing regardless of the fact that they're cheaper than they're just amazing even compared to high-end versions versus ones that maybe you should pass on or ones that are kind of meh. And I love filming these kinds of videos. I will have all of the prices of every single product I mention, as well as all of the products listed in the order I mentioned them down below. So if you have a question about the price of them, what shades they have, etc. If you enjoyed this style of video, definitely check out my other drugstore collection videos. I will link all that I've done below as well. I hope you'll subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, feeling a little thirsty today. By the way, I bought a 3-pack of these at Target because I used to have like a Tervis one, but like I didn't wash it as much as I should have. I know how gross that sounds. And like the straws got weird and I don't know. So finally, I just bought like for $5, it was a 3-pack of these like plastic. I mean, they're like legitimately a cup. You can throw them in the dishwasher. And so then I figured, you know, if I can throw every piece of this in the dishwasher, make sure it's clean. And then if it ever like gets totally ruined or I lose a piece, it doesn't matter because it was a 3-pack for like $5. I was just tired of buying like $20, $25 like water cups. And they either break or they're harder to clean. And I'm like, whatever. So I'm so glad I bought these. They all say, just do you. Sassy. So, huge side track. So the first powder I'm going to mention is the Rimmel Insta Fix and Matte Translucent Powder. This is one of those kind of white powders, but it claims to be translucent because when you blend it in, of course, you can't see it. But the thing about white powders like this is, while yes, they do soak up oil, they really do, I just feel like you're better off if you really don't want a powdery, cakey look, don't get a white powder. Like, I don't really know, unless you're wanting to like brighten, in which case you wouldn't necessarily want this one. You'd probably want a loose white powder, something like that. But for the pressed format, I mean, for example, another one I'm gonna mention is the same brand, Rimmel, but it's their Stay Matte line, where it soaks up the matte. I've been talking a lot today. It soaks up the oil, but it doesn't necessarily leave a white cast. So I would say out of these two, they both do the same thing. I just like the Rimmel Stay Matte better. Now, I think it's cute that there's a bunch of hashtags on it. I mean, they're clearly, you know, kind of going with the trends of today's youth. But I just think that the other one's a better powder. I do wish that the Stay Matte powder, this is like the 80th one I've had of this. I've used this since I was in middle school. Is that right? Gosh, that was a long time ago. At least high school. I remember using this in shows and things like that, and it just does such a great job of soaking up the oil. Now, this is not like a high coverage powder, although actually that looked like it kicked up a lot more than I remember. Anyway, this is actually a new one. I recently bought a new one. But I have it in the shade 004 Sandstorm, which seems to do pretty well. They do not have a large shade range at all, but I would say if these were going head to head, I would go for the Stay Matte every single time. I just wish they would redo the packaging so the lid doesn't just come off. Another powder that's kind of newer to my collection from the drugstore is from Milani. It's their Prep Set Glow Illuminating Transparent Powder. This stuff is amazing. And it is very, very reminiscent, like probably a perfect dupe for, I need to like actually compare them side by side at some point, to the Hourglass powder in Ambient Light. Or wait, no, it's ambient lighting powder in dim light. That's what it is. I use that all of the time when I don't really want a super matte face, but I just need to like tone down just a little bit of the shine, but I still want to look glowy. That's the powder I reach for because I can put it everywhere and it doesn't have shimmer, but there's something about it that's just a little bit illuminating, and this is the exact same way. I don't know how to describe it. It just looks like there's always like a dim light on your skin, like you're just kind of lit from within, but you're not shiny. And I love that about that powder and this powder. I already almost hit pan and I just recently got this. However, I do think that this is a really shallow pan in some way because I feel like I remember hitting it and I was like, what? Like I've only used this not that many times. Anyway, but I have it in the shade 02 and it's perfect for my skin tone. If you're looking for that kind of an hourglass ambient lighting powder, try the Milani one. You'll be in love. Just put it everywhere and you just look beautiful. It just perfected. The next powder is from Wet n Wild. It's their Photo Focus. I feel like I'm yelling. Calm down, Jess. They're right there. The Wet n Wild Photo Focus Pressed Powder. Now this I got in Warm Light. Again, not a huge shade range, which is true for a lot of the super budget drugstore lines, which is unfortunate. But the idea behind this is that there's no photo flashback. And I do agree. Now I think a lot of these don't have photo flashback. But it's nice that they advertise that. So if you were like in a pinch and you needed one, you know, maybe there's a special event and you forgot powder, you can run to the store, get this for like $3.99 or whatever it is, and you know you won't have photo flashback. It's a domed powder. It's actually surprisingly soft, like incredibly soft. I did a Wet n Wild best and worst of like the entire Wet n Wild line, and I will link that below if you want to see it. I don't know if I had this at that point or not. Either way, this is a great powder. It is a great powder. And not even just if you're on a budget, it's just a really creamy, thin layer of powder where I don't think it looks super cakey. Provides a little bit of coverage, not really. But the way I've been using this a lot is just on my under eye. I'll just toss it there and I feel like it brightens the area just a bit. I'm kind of curious to get an even lighter color and try it because I like that it's such a thin layer of powder. But pleasantly surprised. Okay, the next one is another one. This might be probably top 3 favorite drugstore powder foundations. This is the NYX No Filter Powder. They call it a finishing powder. I would call it a powder foundation because it has fantastic coverage. It's so creamy on the skin. I don't know how to explain it. I've even taken this and like, if I have something special going on at night and I put on a foundation and it looks pretty good, but I really want to amp it up and look perfect, I'll take this and a wet beauty blender and just on, I only do it on like the side of it just in case it ever like ruined it by putting, you know, like liquid in it. But wet beauty blender and I dab it onto here and I dab that onto my face and I swear to you, it is the most flawless finish, especially like on your nose. If you have problems on your nose, this is great with the wet beauty blender. Just get it in there, dab it on your nose and it's flawless. It is amazing and it stays in place. It is so cool. So I highly recommend this one. I don't feel like too many people are talking about it and they should be because it is great. I feel like I don't have a lot of negative things to say about these products, but they're just good. There are a few that I'm kind of about that are coming up, but I've decluttered a lot of products that I knew, you know, I didn't like, and so there are only a few that I'm kind of about. Next is the Physicians Formula Youthful Wear. This is another top 3 products, powder products from the drugstore. It's a powder foundation. I have it in the illuminating finish. No, Jessica, you broke it, you ding dong. Well, not totally, but I definitely kind of broke apart. I bent it back too far. Now it can't lift up the thing. I mean, I guess I can just do that. And I never use the brush below, but anyway. But it does come with a mirror on the bottom. I've literally never even pulled this out. And then like actually a kind of thick brush so you could get in there and reapply. But this stuff is incredible. It reminds me of like totally dupalicious for the IT Cosmetics one that I love. It's like the IT Cosmetics Celebration Foundation Illumination Powder Foundation. I hate the name. Anyway, really, really good. Of course, Physicians Formula is always a little bit more expensive in the drugstore, so this can retail for $12.99, $13.99. I mean, it always creeps up, so wait for a sale. But this is a really good one. This one does have a hint of glimmer to it as well, kind of like the Milani Prep Set Glow, but this one has a lot more coverage than this. This is not necessarily a coverage foundation or powder. This one really does have some coverage to it. It smells so clean, not like soap. It smells like sweet clean. I love the smell, and every time, like I always use a fluffy brush with it, and every time I use it, I just love smelling the brush. It smells like clean hair. That sounds really gross, but it does. I guess it's not gross, it's just weird. Anyway, I love this stuff. If you've been watching my channel a while, you know I already love this. I do want to try the matte finish though. Did I already say that or did I think it? because I'm just curious, how different is the formula? Because I know a lot of you guys have not been able to find the illuminating finish. You can only find the matte finish. And the only way you know, I was holding that literally in front of my face. The only way you would know which it is there's like a small sticker on the actual box it comes in that says it like in the corner, illuminating finish or matte finish, and then it says it on the back. So it is kind of hard to find, but it's great. Next up is another new one. It's the CoverGirl Advanced Radiance Powder. Not new to the drugstore, new to me. And this one I'd heard raved about a ton. My biggest gripe with it, I think the packaging is actually really cute. It's classic CoverGirl packaging, so it makes me think of my mom. But it's got like kind of a more iridescent top to it, which is really pretty. It's got a mirror, it's got its classic little puff with the silver top. But it got those weird granules really quickly, and that just bothers me. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I just got it, but it does pack quite a punch. I've heard of some people doing this like on their under eye. It is really pretty that way. I do feel like it starts to look cakey the more you put on, whereas a lot of the other thinner powders don't do that, but this one does. But I still think it's a beautiful powder. I keep saying foundation. It is really, really pretty. So if you're looking for one that's kind of middle of the road, it's got great coverage, it definitely mattifies, but it's not like $13.99 like the Physicians Formula one, I do think you'd like this. If you just want a powder for your under eye, this is also pretty for that. It's really brightening. You could use it just to highlight certain areas, not like glitter highlight, but like true highlight. Next is, oh my gosh, this is probably top 3 as well. So is that 3? I've got my Physicians Formula, this one, and the, what was the other one I said? Oh, the NYX one. It's the Maybelline Better Skin. No one's talking about this, and it is so amazing. I love it. I usually keep this in my purse because it's nice and thin. It has a huge mirror, and it has one of those puffs that's actually really good at really getting the product, and you can apply it wherever. Because this is one of those things that if I ever am trying a foundation or I'm wearing something and I look in the mirror halfway through the day and I'm like, oh my gosh, your skin looks crazy, or it doesn't have enough coverage, I can just grab this and dab it on and it looks so beautiful, so beautiful. I think a lot of people are turned off by it maybe because of the packaging, because a lot of people don't like when this is there. It's a lot bigger than it needs to be, but I actually really like this for on the go. And I just love it. I really do, and sometimes I forget about it because it's always in my purse, so when I'm doing videos and thinking about favorites, I'm looking at stuff that's around me, like in my everyday makeup drawer and stuff. I don't think to look in my purse, but I could list this as a favorite every single month. I really, really like this. So if you are just looking for an all-around great powder, great for touch-ups, definitely give it a try. Oh, and the big thing I forgot to mention, the reason it's called their Better Skin line, it's got salicylic acid in it, which is for some skin types, can be great at battling acne. For some that doesn't work, you know, it's just kind of one of those things. But so it's not necessarily bad for your skin either, which I appreciate. So when you're piling it on, you don't have to feel like you're absolutely wrecking your skin and just clogging your pores. Next, this is kind of a weird one to include, but I wanted to mention it. It's from NYX, it's their HD finishing powder in Banana. Now I've tried like the Ben Nye Banana powder that's really famous. It's just not right for someone my skin tone. If you've got a deeper, maybe more olive skin tone, it's great and really brightening. For me, it just wasn't super brightening because it was almost dark for me, if that makes sense. So I've since gotten rid of that, but this is a very, very light yellowish white shade, and I love this for setting my under eye. I used it today, I use it all the time, because it's quicker for me to grab this and swirl a brush in it and just set my under eye and brighten that area than it is for me to get like a loose powder and do all that. So most days, if I'm doing that, this is what I'm using. I've been using it for probably a year now. I love it just as much as I did then as I do now. And I haven't tried like other tones of this. If you have and you have one you'd recommend, let me know. I've only tried the Banana, but I really love it for that, and it's super inexpensive, and I'm never gonna run out of this, especially since that's all I'm using it for. Now we're getting into some loose powders. This is the NYC Smooth Skin Loose Powder. This is a very famous loose powder, very similar to like the Coty Airspun. I mean, for all I know, they could be the same product, but the Coty one has like a smell to it that I very much associate with that. This one is, oh, that's right, it has a sifter. You can take the sifter out. The old one I used to have, I took it out because it was almost less messy in that way. I don't know. It's just so messy. It's so messy, but it's a good loose powder. It's one of my top 2 favorite. I have 4 here I want to show you. And it's one of my favorites because it's not stark white. Again, it's that same thing that when I'm putting stuff on my face, I want it to look as natural as possible. And even though I am a little bit fairer, the white just, I feel like it doesn't look good. I think we're kind of all moving beyond that. We're wanting to look a little bit more natural. And with that in mind, the white is just not natural, even if you have fair skin. So for me, this has more of a beige tone to it. And for my skin tone, I think it's beautiful. Now it's translucent, so technically it blends away, but I think you guys get what I'm saying. The tone of it is just a little bit different. It soaks up oil like that. You can bake with it if you want. You can do anything with it, and it's so cheap. I just wish it weren't as messy. Like, for example, let me show you what I wish, like Cover FX, of course this is not a drugstore, but I wanted to show you the example. They have finally figured it out where they have it, but you lift up so that you can access the sifter. So there's not just loose powder everywhere. I mean, this is like the most genius contraption ever. And I can't wait till eventually drugstores kind of figure it out, find a way to get it going in their factories and start using that kind of a packaging, because I so appreciate this. Thank you, Cover FX. You're my boo. So anyway, like look at this. Just to shut it. Powder everywhere. So I don't like to use it for that reason. So either I needed to pot it into something else, and that's true for a lot of these, or I don't know. So for that reason, it's a great product. I just wish it were repackaged. All right, just embrace the dust everywhere, Jessica. You can clean it a little bit. The next one is from Hard Candy, which is sold at Walmart. It's their Fast and Fabulous Translucent Loose Powder. This is a white powder. It is not bad, but I feel like it's one of those things that you might as well be using cornstarch. Do you know what I mean? I mean, it's super finely milled. Like, you like touch it and your hand goes super finely milled. I just feel like it's super white and it really comes across that way. Some white powders are better. I'll show you one in a minute that's better than this at blending away to actually be translucent. This just sticks that white. Now, it is an amazing option if you want like the super white kind of under eye. This would be fantastic because it definitely leaves behind that white cast. For that reason, I don't like it, but I know for that reason other people do like it. So that's something to keep in mind. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not bad, but you would need it for a very specific purpose. I don't think that it's an all-around good product. Next is an old holy grail. This is from number 7. I bought it at Target. It's their Perfect Light Loose Powder. Again, it's just like the NYC, but the packaging is better. It's the same idea where it's translucent, but it's more of a beigey tone instead of a white. So it looks a lot more natural. I like that it has a puff, and that is why it holds in the powder, so I can do this and powder's not coming out. But I also like it because I can really quickly, if I want to dab it in certain areas, I can do that, and then I'll grab like a fluffy brush and just kind of brush it away, and then it soaks up the oil that I needed it to soak up. So for that reason, I just think this is a great powder. I think the NYC and this one are very similar formula-wise. I just think that because of the packaging, it's worth spending a couple extra dollars on this, because you're gonna want to use it more. Does that make sense? It's amazing how inconvenient it really can be, to the point where I can't even tell you the last time I opened this because of that. But beyond that, it really, the number 7 one really is a good product. Probably one of my top setting powders, even out of my high-end ones. It's really good. It reminds me actually a lot of the Cover FX one in a way. All right, next up, I actually have 2 more. I thought I only had 4 total, I had 5. This one's from Pixi, so it can be a little bit pricier at Target, but it's their Quick Fix powder. I had to show it because it's so cool. So you open this up, and it has this puff that's actually, you don't take it off or anything like that. Actually, there we go. You don't take it off, it's a part of it, and you dab it on, and you actually can dab it right onto your face. I'm just showing you on my arm. So you can dab it where you want it. So for me, sometimes the way I'll use it is if I do like a contour blush kind of thing, I'll use this right here to kind of just get that area a little bit cleaned up. And I feel like it does such a great job of kind of cleaning it up, and then I can brush and blend, and it just does a good job. Or if I just need to right in my T-zone, I can do the same thing. I think that is such a cool packaging idea, yet again, and it has a little mirror on the top. I don't know how often you'd use it, but it's a really cool idea. Now again, it is a white powder, but what I might do, I think that I could take it off, and when I run out of this, I might refill it with like, maybe with the NYC stuff so I can still use it, but have a beige powder with it. So I wish the Pixie one sold it with a more beige toned translucent powder. Okay, last but not least is the Flower Beauty Giant Honkin' Miracle Matte Translucent Finishing Powder. Flower Beauty, they're sold at Walmart. It's Drew Barrymore's line. Their packaging is gorgeous. It is so well thought out, always kind of on trend, yet still classic and pretty and romantic. They always have beautiful like gold, bronzy kind of pieces to it. This is humongous though. It is truly humongous, kind of difficult to get off. But again, what's nice is it has that puff, and the powder's a little bit deeper in there with the sifter, so it's a little bit less messy. Now, this is a white translucent powder. I think that it's just a standard white translucent. It's not bad, but it's nothing that like makes me use it and go. So if you're dying to try Flower Beauty, I don't think this is bad. It definitely has cool packaging, so if you're really into it for that and you just need a standard setting powder, this will do the job. It's not bad, but I just don't think it's anything that great that you need to run out and get. So those are all of my drugstore powders and powder foundations and loose powders. I have a lot. I love a lot. Obviously, this was not a video full of worst, but I did have a few that just I didn't think are worth running out and buying, but I have plenty that I absolutely love. Like I said earlier, I hope you'll subscribe. I hope you check out more of my drugstore collection videos, which are linked below. Other than that, I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.